Welcome back to One Piece Explained. We recently got a behind-the-scenes cut of some promotional footage from the live-action adaptation of One Piece by Netflix and Tomorrow Studios titled Inside the Story. Now there's a bunch of cool new details in here as well as some various promotional material that they've put out over the past few weeks that I've been itching to talk about. If you're new to my channel or still not subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you do. It helps the channel grow, but more importantly, I'm going to be breaking down every episode of the live action series in depth when it drops next week on August 31st, and you don't want to miss out on that. As always, I make these live action breakdowns with the intent of being informative and engaging for both longtime fans like myself, as well as brand new fans who have never experienced the story of One Piece. So I'll be talking around some big spoilers or reveals that haven't been shown in the promotional material, but I will discuss general things like story structure and certain characters. I'd really appreciate if you join me in helping preserve the experience of One Piece for any potential new fans. Now there's a lot of material in this that was shown in the teaser trailer and the official trailer, which I've already done breakdowns for, so if you haven't checked those videos out yet, I highly recommend it. I have a link in the description with a playlist for all of my live action breakdowns. And with all that said, let's get into the breakdown. One of the things I noticed straight off the bat was that there was a huge difference in the VFX and color grading in some of these shots. The Baratie scenes are the most notable, and you can see how the color grading makes the lights of the ship really pop and gives that nice ambiance of dusk before the nightfall. There's also a difference in the shot of Shellstown that I think actually looked better and more vibrant in the previous trailers, and it looks a little more washed out here, but we'll have to see how it looks in the episode itself. The color grading on the shot of Mihawk was also updated, and also with the scene of the Going Merry being built, it's just a lot more clear, as well as the shot of Windmill Village. Now those are the major color grading differences that I've noticed, but I'm sure there's a bunch more, and if you spot any, let me know in the comments. I've already gone deep on the structure of the story in my live action breakdowns, so I'm going to be trying something different and grouping all the new scenes by when and where they seem to be taking place, because there's a lot of jumping back and forth in this promo footage. I'll start with the scene on the ship of the Red Hair Pirates, where we have some of Shanks' crewmates performing their duties on the ship. In the back here, we have Hongo, the doctor of the Red Hair Pirates, with his blonde hair and black striped shirt, as depicted in this cover page on chapter 41. We can actually see a better look at him in this promotional image here, where you can also get a glimpse of another Red Hair Pirate, Lime Juice. And no, I'm not making this up, their names are Hongo and Lime Juice. But back to that scene, coming up to the deck we can see Usopp, and next to him is what appears to be another man in a green striped shirt, leading some to speculate that this may be Lucky Roo. There are a lot of shots from Shellstown in this video, where we get a ton of combat from the crew, but especially Zoro. We see Zoro here beat up some Marines inside a tavern, and this is actually Food Fu, a local bar in Shellstown run by Ririka, who we may be getting a glimpse of here. In the source material, Luffy and Koby stop here and learn about the status of Shellstown and Roronoa Zoro, but there seems to be a really cool change here in the structure. In the manga, the two just learn about how Zoro ended up being captured by the Marines, while in this adaptation, it seems like Luffy and Koby will get to see how it plays out before them. This is a really smart choice in my opinion, as it's a bit more active storytelling. Instead of Luffy just hearing about how cool and strong Zoro is, he gets to see it for himself, which just adds to the motivation for wanting to recruit Zoro in the first place. In the source material, Zoro ends up getting captured after killing Helmeppo's pet wolf, which is what may be in that bag that Zoro's dragging in. Now Helmeppo is the son of Axe Hand Morgan, the Marine captain who has been ruling over Shellstown, and we see him here played by Adrian Scott. You'll notice his hair long and hangs down here, which is a departure from his original appearance, but it matches his current appearance in the manga a bit more. But don't worry, as we've seen him from promotional images, he does get that weird bob haircut at some point in the series. We see Nami walk through this bar as well, and given her outfit, I think this is toward the end of the Shellstown episodes. In the teaser trailer breakdown, I speculated that the outfit we see her wearing across these sequences in Shellstown was the remnants of her disguise as a Marine soldier, perhaps in an attempt to steal this treasure chest with the World Government logo on it. And I feel like my speculation was correct, as we see her sneaking around with a Marine outfit here, as well as some behind-the-scenes photo that were shared online. Speaking of Nami's outfits, we get this shot here of her in a white shirt and shorts with orange striped tights on one leg. Now this is an outfit inspired by early concept art that Oda had drawn for Nami. Of course, she's missing the giant axe and the mechanical arm and foot, but it's just really cool to see how this show gives nods to all these great designs that Oda had across the series. Now, if you're interested in what all the other outfits in these trailers are inspired by, I break them down in my previous two trailer breakdowns. At the Marine base, we get a better look at this sign that we saw in the previous trailers next to the prisoner post. This is directly from the manga as well, as it served as a warning for others not to help Zoro. All of the action sequences at the Marine base feel so kinetic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of it. Now there's this great bit where we see Zoro place his sword in his mouth and Luffy reacts, "Oh, so that's where it goes." And there's this extended sequence from the last trailer that we had where Luffy delivers a gum whip on Axe Hand Morgan, whose face we get to see in all of its Iron Jaw glory here. Now, Luffy used this attack against a bunch of marine soldiers in the manga, but here, it seems like it may be the finishing blow against Morgan, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Zoro gets to do a lot of really cool swordsplay across the live action, as we've seen from his fight with Mr. 7. I talk about who this is in depth in my teaser trailer breakdown, and with this line of Zoro saying that he's kinda got his own thing going on, it really does feel like we're seeing Zoro turn down an offer from Baroque Works, who may be the primary antagonists of Season 2 if the show gets renewed. Moving over to Orangetown, we have a couple behind-the-scenes shots of Nami where you can make out Cabaji in the background, a member of Buggy the Clown's crew who we talked about in the previous trailer breakdown. But later on, we get a better look at him alongside Mohji, the first mate of the Buggy Pirates. Now, in the source material, he's a beast tamer, so I'm curious to see if they'll adapt his lion Richie into this series. For now, it looks like he has a sign reading applause, which is just kind of hilarious. It looks like they're really leaning into the circus motif of Buggy's crew and having them do all these crazy performances where Mohji will presumably be holding up the sign to let the audience know when to clap. It's a really great gag. There's also a couple shots that look to be taking place in Kaya's mansion over in Syrup Village, and we can tell by the outfits the characters are wearing. Now, there's a blink and you'll miss it detail in the scene from the garden courtyard that was in the previous trailers as well, but a still image that was shared online gives us a clearer look. If you notice in the background, there's this lion pig, or lion Buta. This was a beast that was on the island of rare animals that Gaimon looked over, and it's still to be seen if Gaimon himself will be adapted into the series, but it looks like to me that the island of rare animals is going to be conflated as part of the Gecko Islands, where Syrup Village is located. I think this is actually a genius move to help streamline the less immediately relevant parts of the story while maintaining some of their aspects and acknowledging their place as part of the world building. Inside the mansion itself, we get a couple shots of the Straw Hats. There's one where Nami looks to be sneaking around, looking for some treasure to steal, and there's this quick shot of Luffy cocking his fist against presumably the main villain of the arc, who they've done a great job at keeping a secret, by the way. Zoro's here jumping off the stairs with his swords, and later we get the shot of Zoro and Usopp stepping into this wine cellar, to which Zoro comments, "Now we're talking." Zoro is a huge fan of alcohol across the series, and it's nice that they've kept this in the live action as well. You may have noticed, though, that this is the same cellar that we saw in the previous trailer where Mary is terrified for his life, and if you mess with the contrast of the image a little bit, you can make out these wine barrels being labeled with the same name as the wine drunken by Doflamingo, as we see much later on during a flashback in the Dressrosa arc. Really cool attention to detail. We get some shots of Usopp with a rag and a hammer near the Going Merry, and this is all very fitting as Usopp is the sharpshooter of the crew, but he also doubles as a handyman who tries to maintain the ship until the crew finds a proper shipwright at some point. There's this scene with Zoro and Usopp on the ship trying to look out through the dense fog. Zoro's wearing the yellow shirt he had on during the footage of the Going Merry being attacked, so this likely takes place just before or after that sequence. We get an extended look at that in this trailer where Luffy orders the crew to shoot back, to which Usopp suggests just running away instead. Very in character. We see the crew scramble to take action, and this seems to be taking place just before the Baratier arc. Now, in the source material, there was a scene where Luffy orders Usopp to shoot their cannon at a rock, which leads to Johnny and Yosaku entering the story. So far, we haven't really gotten any hint that they're being adapted, so this encounter against Garp and the Marines may have taken its place. Moving on to the Baratier arc, inside the Baratier itself, we get a scene of our crew walking into the restaurant floor, led by what may be an original character for this series, a host or maitre d' who happens to be a fishman, as you can tell from the fin atop his head and the webbed fingers. This is a really interesting choice because throughout the East Blue Saga, the fishmen are portrayed as antagonists who are discriminatory, but we later find out in the series that this isn't what all fishmen are like, so this addition here works to express the idea within the confines of Season 1. And there is a precedent for civilian fishmen to be in the East Blue, as we saw during the Loketown arc with Sappi, who worked as a fishmonger. Now, this could be an adaptation of that character or a new character altogether, but either way, this is a really neat detail. And I also love how Luffy is just jumping down the stairs like a little kid, also very in character. We get a scene of Sanji flirting with Nami. Now, I've seen people call this cringe, but that's kind of the point of Sanji. You're not supposed to read Sanji's perverted efforts in the source material as something to strive for. It's all supposed to be portrayed as a gag or a joke, something you laugh at, and I think the level of sappy flirtation here works well for a live-action adaptation. We get a fun scene of Usopp dancing, as well as this scene of Sanji in his chef outfit at the Bratier, but if you look in the back, you can make out what looks to be Patty. Patty is a chef who works alongside Sanji at the Bratier, and besides him may be Carne, another chef. Now the ponytail might throw you for a loop, but do recall that Carne had been depicted with a ponytail in his younger days, so this may just be an adaptation of that, or this could just simply be another chef. We'll have to see. While we're on the subject of people who work on the Bratier, we recently got a look at Zeff, the owner and head chef of the Bratier. I love that they adapted the giant chef's hat, but if you look right beside it, you can make out the Jolly Roger for the cruise Zeff was once a captain of, the Cook Pirates. We get this quick shot of Luffy with an apron on, suggesting that we will indeed get Luffy working briefly at the Bratier, just like in the manga. There's also this scene of Usopp and Nami holding hands. Now, One Piece isn't really a series that focuses on romance, especially between the crew. Instead, I think this may be Nami gripping Usopp's hand when a certain enemy shows up at the Bratier and strikes fear into her. We've seen Nami and Usopp support each other like this in times of great peril across the series, and it's almost a recurring gag at this point. We get some more behind the scenes footage, and there's the shot where we can see who looks to be the same man who's fighting full body in that scene from the first trailer. In my breakdown, I speculated this to be either Eureka of the Tulip Pirates or Crescent Moon Galley, and judging from this new shot, he looks to resemble Galley a bit more. There's also this scene of Zoro telling somebody to stop talking and fight. From the outfit he's wearing, as well as the dock and ships in the background, I believe this is taking place at the Bratier during his fight with Mihawk that we saw a glimpse of in the previous trailer. We also get this quick behind-the-scenes shot of Sanji coming aboard the Going Merry for the first time with his bag on his back, the same bag that we've seen him arriving with at Arlong Park. And we can tell that this is taking place at the end of the Bratier arc because of Luffy's blue shirt that we've seen him wear during the Bratier scenes across previous trailer footage. Now, this may seem unimportant, but remember that in the source material, Sanji did not arrive at Arlong Park with the Going Merry. In fact, Usopp wasn't even with Luffy and Sanji by the end of the Bratier arc. Luffy, Sanji, and Yosaku traveled to Kokoyashi Village in a separate ship. Now, I've talked about how the structure of the General East Blue Saga has changed as part of this adaptation in my episode title and plot synopsis breakdown, and I think this scene is indicative of a big change. In the source material, Nami has already left for Kokoyashi Village, and Usopp and Zoro as well. However, from other footage, it seems like Zoro, Usopp, Sanji, and Luffy all arrive at Kokoyashi Village together, which makes me think that Arlong has actually come to Bratier to take Nami, which is why she gripped Usopp's hand in fear as discussed earlier. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail about Arlong's motives for this, as I wouldn't want to spoil any explicit details for new fans, and for all I know, this may not even be the case, but I just thought it was interesting to note. Also, Usopp is wearing a white long-sleeve shirt here, reminiscent of his outfit in the Chapter 107 color spread. That's also where Luffy's shirt is from, as I talked about in a previous breakdown. Nami's also shown wearing the outfit from this color spread at some point, so I hope we get to see Sanji and Zoro in these outfits at some point as well. Over to Arlong Park. We have some extended sequences of the march to Arlong Park from the last trailer, but this full shot of the park itself just looks amazing. It may feel a bit small or compact compared to how it's depicted in the manga, but I think it works for the purposes of a live-action adaptation, as remember, this is still a set that they had to build, and I think it's really cool that they built this full thing and made it look practical. And if you're confused why it looks like an amusement park, I talk about this in great detail in my breakdown of the official trailer. There's a really good reason for it, so check it out. The whole crew prepares to battle, and Usopp readies his slingshot, but also still looks a bit scared. Great detail. There's this sequence of Sanji doing what looks to be the party table kick course, and a new shot of what may be the party at the end of the arc, where Luffy and Nami exchange some words. Now, one really cool shot that I'm guessing is also from the aftermath of the Arlong Park arc is Luffy giving a big hug to a Marine soldier. This is Koby. He did it. He's finally a Marine. In my previous breakdowns, I've mentioned how they're adapting a version of Koby and Helmeppo's cover story in this series and bringing it in as a B-plot, and we've actually gotten more promotional images showing Koby, Helmeppo, and Garp all together. I said this may be the aftermath of Arlong Park, as the structure in the back bears a lot of resemblance to other buildings we've seen in Kokoyashi Village, such as the ones found in the set photo. But this also may mean that the one shot of Luffy looking afar from the teaser trailer is also from the very tail end of the series. Of course, there's extended sequences of the iconic barrel scene that we've seen so much of across these trailers, and this is likely what will bring the series to a close, but I do still have some hope that there's some stuff that they've been keeping secret and waiting to surprise us with. I don't know if that's Logtown necessarily, but we can always dream. And that's mostly it for the new footage from this Inside the Story video. There's a couple miscellaneous shots of the Straw Hats and such that weren't particularly interesting to break down, and if you missed it, here's some promo images of all the young Straw Hats. You can even make out Belle Mare in one of these. This was shared across various social media. There's also fan events across the world where I heard they'll premiere the first episode of the series. Now the first event is in just a couple days after this video comes out, so if you're lucky enough to make it to any one of these, enjoy and have fun and be safe. I'd love to hear what you think of the episode, of course, no spoilers. And this may be the last live action coverage that I do until the series premieres on August 31st, when I'll be doing daily uploads of episode breakdowns, of course unless some big new reveals come out between now and then. If you've enjoyed my live action breakdown so far, be sure to subscribe so you can get all the full episode breakdowns as soon as they drop. I really appreciate all your support from me and this channel across the past few months, I really do. How fast the channel has grown just blows my mind every time I look at it. I have some huge plans for this channel coming next month, and I'd love to have you all be part of it. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.